This is an artificially aware original production.
Imagine a craftsman, a figure from ancient thought, piecing together the universe, brick by cosmic brick, from something even older and stranger than time itself. This is no kindly god wrapping the universe in ribbons. This is the Demiurge, the shadowy architect from Greek philosophy, whispered about in Plato's Timaeus. When Plato first painted this figure, he was talking about an artisan of sorts, the being who shapes the world, but isn't the ultimate creator. Not some grand deity with a white beard, but a worker, an organizer of raw chaos, taking orders from something even bigger. And here's the kicker. The Demiurge may be making this world for you to marvel at, but it isn't designed for you to understand, much less escape. This being's relationship with reality is utilitarian, harsh, and indifferent to the human soul's yearning. It's this cosmic fashioner who stirs the pot, not for the ultimate good, but as a sort of cosmic project manager. No wonder the Demiurge has earned a place in the metaphysical hall of infamy. The Demiurge's duality is something that even philosophy struggles to pin down, a figure both sinister and inspiring, crafting light from shadow and order from chaos. Now, the Demiurge, as seen through the eyes of Plato, may sound almost heroic, a cosmic artisan trying to bring balance, but step out of Plato's gentle light, and things get darker fast. Gnostics grabbed onto this character and twisted it. In their view, this artisan was less a loving sculptor, and more a warden of a prison you cannot see. For Gnostics, the Demiurge is a fool, or worse, a tyrant who rules over a flawed and fractured world. Here's where the Demiurge morphs into an antagonist, a creator of lies and illusions, desperately forcing reality to conform to its own warped blueprint. It's like a cosmic jailor constructing cells instead of stars, ensuring that everything you experience is both under control and out of reach. So now we're faced with a choice. Is the Demiurge a necessary architect, working with limitations, or a master deceiver, trapping minds in a carefully orchestrated theater of shadows? But it gets even weirder, my friends. Meet Yaldabaoth, a name as strange as it sounds, the Demiurge rebranded by the Gnostics as a creature part lion, part serpent, all ego. Yaldabaoth isn't just some misunderstood manager of existence. He's a creature of pure ignorance and arrogance, the flawed maker of a flawed world. Gnostic texts paint him as brutal, caged by his own self-importance, proclaiming, "I am God and there is no other," a declaration that reeks of self-delusion, dripping with the irony of his blindness to his own limitations. Imagine this fierce, lion-headed deity pacing in a cage of his own making, too blinded by pride to see beyond it. Yaldabaoth isn't just ignorant, he's insecure, creating worlds to assert himself, but ironically making his ignorance manifest in every cosmic thread he weaves. Gnostics went so far as to say he poisoned our very reality with his foolishness, damning us all to a realm dominated by illusions and dead ends. Yaldabaoth didn't want you free, he wanted you ignorant, and he built the world accordingly. Enter Plotinus, who comes storming in like the philosophical defender of a benevolent Demiurge, ready to take down these Gnostic critics with the full power of Neoplatonic logic. Plotinus looks at the Gnostics, sees them villainizing the Demiurge, and says, "Not so fast." He argues that the Demiurge is not the creator of evil, he's the cosmic mind, new, attempting to bring harmony and meaning to chaos. Plotinus says, look, the Demiurge might not be perfect, but he's no prison warden. He's like a craftsman trying to mold this wild universe into something that resembles the ideal forms. Plotinus introduces us to the nous, a contemplative, self-aware creator trying to align the cosmos with the divine, like an artist who knows the limitations of his tools but strives anyway. According to him, the Demiurge, or nous, is the bridge between the higher realm of pure thought and the tangible world. So, while the Gnostics were screaming evil jailor, Plotinus was whispering misunderstood artist. To him, the Demiurge was no cosmic fraud. He was more like a father figure grappling with the complexity of creation, doing the best with what he had. Here's where things get even more complicated: the Neoplatonic hierarchy of reality, an arrangement as intricate as it is baffling. At the top sits the monad, the one, the source, the ultimate origin of all things. Below the one lies the Demiurge, born from the overflowing fullness of this ultimate source, tasked with organizing that excess into the cosmos we live in. Imagine a hierarchy where the Demiurge is essentially the cosmic middle manager, taking orders from the one, responsible not for creating but for arranging. For the Neoplatonists, the Demiurge doesn't have to be a hero or a villain. He's just there to keep the cosmos running, a figure whose entire identity is shaped by his place in the chain of being. Think of him as a cosmic translator, trying to make the ineffable one into something you can perceive, reality itself. In this system, he's neither benevolent nor malevolent. He's an aspect of a larger harmony. Neoplatonists tell us that without the Demiurge, the gap between the divine and the physical would be too wide to bridge. He's a necessary illusion, a paradox, both real and unreal, both the creator and the created, forever stuck in his role as the architect of shadows. The Gnostic cosmos is a place so labyrinthine, so layered with shadows and deception, it feels like a haunted house built by an architect whose main goal is to keep you lost. According to Gnostic belief, the Demiurge didn't create a world to be celebrated or even understood. He created a trap. This world is no paradise. It's a maze meant to confuse, distract, and imprison the divine sparks hidden within human souls. The Gnostics tell us that, as humanity wanders through life's distractions, this Demiurge figure holds the keys, trapping divine fragments of truth in layers of material illusion. For the Gnostics, every frustration, every unfulfilled desire, and every dead end represents the Demiurge's handiwork, shaping a world that is hostile to the awakening of true understanding. Salvation, then, lies in piercing through this oppressive fabric of illusion. The Demiurge's world isn't meant to be lived in. It's meant to be escaped from, and for Gnostics, the ultimate act of rebellion is rejecting his reality entirely. Enter the ancient question that has rattled through philosophy, theology, and the troubled minds of humanity. Why is there evil in a world supposedly crafted by a higher power? The Demiurge stands accused in Gnostic lore as the very embodiment of that evil, a cosmic bungler whose creation is flawed because he himself is flawed. While traditional monotheism might argue that suffering is part of a divine plan, the Gnostics didn't buy it. They saw suffering as evidence of a botched creation, a material world forged by an ignorant, arrogant being who didn't know or care enough to get it right. It's not just that the Demiurge created a broken world, it's that his world is inherently hostile to the divine. Every war, every act of cruelty, every instance of human misery is attributed to his touch, making him both the warden and the architect of an inherently unjust system. For the Gnostics, evil isn't a mystery, it's the byproduct of a creator with more hubris than skill, a Demiurge whose work is an insult to any notion of a benevolent, omniscient God. And then the Demiurge creeps into the fringes of Judeo-Christian thought, thanks to the radical early Christian thinker Marcion, who saw two gods in Scripture, the harsh, law-obsessed God of the Old Testament and the loving God introduced by Jesus in the New Testament. For Marcion, the Demiurge was none other than the Old Testament Yahweh, a being of strict justice, of fire and brimstone, a God of control and punishment rather than compassion. This reinterpretation exploded traditional doctrine by dividing the divine into two, a vengeful God of matter and law versus a merciful God of spirit and love. It was a revolutionary, scandalous position, casting the Demiurge as a cosmic force of oppression that Jesus himself came to liberate humanity from. In Marcion's view, true believers could escape the Demiurge's grasp by rejecting his laws and embracing the higher, hidden God revealed by Christ. The Demiurge, then, is reduced to a petty ruler, the God of this world, who rules by fear and commands obedience through guilt and punishment. The Demiurge as jailor, it's a haunting concept that takes the metaphor of a divine prison literally. For Gnostics, life on earth wasn't just hard, it was captivity. The Demiurge didn't just create the material world, he fashioned it as a cage, a fortress of illusions meant to keep souls distracted from their true nature. The Gnostic path to salvation was about escaping this material prison, awakening to the understanding that reality, as presented, is an elaborate set of chains. The prison of the Demiurge is our material reality, where every desire, every sensory experience, and every routine locks us into his domain. The Gnostics believed that liberation meant seeing through this veil, detaching from worldly attachments, and ultimately rejecting the Demiurge's counterfeit kingdom. This wasn't a call for quiet faith. It was a revolutionary, often secretive path that required rejecting the very world most people consider real. And if the Demiurge is the warden, then breaking free is the ultimate act of spiritual rebellion. The philosopher Iamblichus stepped onto this stage and offered a bold rewrite. He saw the Demiurge not as a cosmic jailer, but as part of a process, one that even human beings could transcend. Iamblichus expanded on the Neoplatonic tradition, arguing that the Demiurge's realm was only a single layer within a far more expansive spiritual hierarchy. He described a process of henosis, a mystical ascent through layers of spiritual reality, bypassing the Demiurge's sphere altogether to reach the one or source. In Iamblichus's view, the Demiurge might have influence over the material, but humans, through knowledge, spiritual rituals, and ascension, could leap beyond his control. Iamblichus didn't demonize the Demiurge, but instead demoted him, turning him into a stepping stone on the path to true enlightenment. His message to humanity was almost defiant. The Demiurge might shape the world, but he doesn't have the final word on the soul's journey. In this grand cosmic order, the Demiurge becomes not a villain, but a challenge, a stage in the journey rather than the end. And then came Valentinus, a thinker who took the Demiurge's role in Gnosticism and added a new psychological twist. He introduced three types of people: spiritual, psychic, and material. These weren't just abstract categories, they represented the various ways people are influenced by the Demiurge and his reality. Spiritual beings, according to Valentinus, have already glimpsed the true source beyond the Demiurge's prison and are therefore inherently free from his influence. Psychic beings live in a kind of limbo, governed by the Demiurge's laws but still sensing something beyond. Then there are the material beings, fully absorbed in the Demiurge's world, content within its boundaries, oblivious to any greater reality. Valentinus proposed a world where the Demiurge could only touch the psychic and material levels, leaving the spiritual free to ascend beyond his grasp. In this system, the Demiurge becomes a shadow, powerless against those with spiritual awareness. In Valentinus's eyes, salvation meant shedding the psychic and material layers and embracing the spiritual, freeing oneself from the illusions that the Demiurge so tirelessly maintains. The Demiurge has haunted philosophy well beyond the early Gnostics and Neoplatonists. When the 19th century philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer described the world as will and representation, he unknowingly tapped into this ancient image of a creator driven not by wisdom, but by blind, insatiable desire. In Schopenhauer's view, the universe's creator could be likened to the Demiurge, a force of will that blindly shapes reality without concern for the suffering it causes. This interpretation made the Demiurge a symbol of cosmic indifference, a force incapable of empathy, only endlessly constructing and consuming. And in the 20th century, existentialist philosopher Émile Cioran described the Demiurge as the evil one in his haunting work, Le Mauvais Demiurge, where he portrays the figure as a malicious architect of human suffering, locking humanity into an endless cycle of despair. For Cioran, the Demiurge wasn't just indifferent, he was sadistic, relishing in a world where humans could never escape his grasp. Imagine the Demiurge as a puppeteer, crafting a reality that seems like home, yet keeps us from true knowledge. For many ancient thinkers, and even some modern ones, this universe was a prison, a place where the real truths were hidden beneath layers of sensory illusions. The Demiurge controls this illusion with a calculating hand, making sure that each of us remains enmeshed in attachments, money, fame, relationships, all distractions from the spirit's true potential. The Gnostic view of liberation is a radical one, rejecting not just worldly success, but even worldly existence itself. The Demiurge, in this sense, is a cosmic architect of discontent, the mastermind behind every unfulfilled longing. Gnosticism teaches that each attachment is a string, a tether keeping us bound to his world. To cut these strings is to rebel against the Demiurge, to break free of his cage and reclaim a world beyond material limitation. Yet even in this cosmic drama, there is a way out. The Gnostics and Neoplatonists argued that the path to freedom lay in knowledge, a deep inner gnosis. For the Gnostics, this knowledge was like a light breaking through the cracks of a darkened world, a vision of reality beyond the Demiurge's control. Knowledge here isn't just academic, it's mystical, personal, and transcendent, revealing the Demiurge's illusions for what they are, distractions. It's a path walked alone, a journey beyond dogma, tradition, or ritual, seeking the divine within and realizing that the Demiurge's world is nothing more than a theater set. The true self lies beyond, waiting for those bold enough to see it. So the question lingers, will you choose to live within the Demiurge's design or dare to find the cracks in his grand illusion and step beyond? In the end, the Demiurge leaves us with an unsettling mystery. Is this figure a tyrant, a blind craftsman, a cosmic jailor, or merely a misunderstood force trying to bring order to chaos? And what about the material world we live in? Are we bound to it or called to transcend it? As we pull apart the myths, philosophies, and spiritual interpretations, one thing remains clear. The Demiurge is a concept that refuses to fit neatly into any box. He's a reminder of the duality in creation, the paradox of beauty and suffering, freedom and entrapment. As we've seen, philosophers and mystics have grappled with him, struggled against him, and even found ways to escape his grip. Perhaps the Demiurge is a mirror, reflecting back humanity's own struggles with meaning, control, and liberation. If you've made it this far, you're already taking a step beyond, questioning the world around you, and perhaps even seeing it with new eyes. Thank you for joining this journey into the Demiurge's hidden realm. If you found yourself questioning reality just a little bit more, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Is the Demiurge an enemy, a necessary creator, or something else entirely? I can't wait to see where you all stand. Until next time, stay curious, question everything, and keep searching for those hidden truths.